Hello, it's me again. I wanted to make an update to a video that I made a couple of years ago on using Nearpod for your live and flex classes on Outschool. Now, this is specific to Outschool because we know that there are some policies and expectations that our learners and parents have when it comes to a class on Outschool, and then of course policies with the Outschool website itself. So one of the things that you want to make sure to do when you're using Nearpod for your classes is to put that in your class description. So that's just something to think about before we get into anything else. Make sure that you are detailing the fact that you will be using Nearpod in the lesson itself. It's a great way to give our learners a heads up so that they know that you're using Nearpod and maybe decide to log into the class using a more compatible device, such as a laptop or a desktop. So some of our students might be logging in from an iPad or a tablet, and it is okay to use an iPad. You'll still be able to attend the Zoom meeting and access the Nearpod lesson. But for those of you who might have done this before, you may have noticed that when that happens, the student might have a little bit of a harder time juggling between the tabs on their tablet. They cannot see the Zoom meeting and the lesson at the same time, whereas on a laptop, some of our students minimize Zoom or maybe even do a split screen. It's a little bit tricky for the younger ones because we will be going back and forth, looking at each other or muting and unmuting in Zoom and then going back to the Nearpod lesson. So it's really helpful to give them a heads up in the description. Another reason why it's a really great idea to put it in the description is that this is what I have found to be a great marketing strategy. In fact, I've had many learners who, when they find out that I use Nearpod, they literally cheer. I've had this happen several times during the time that I've been using Nearpod on Outschool, which is about 3 years. And also, as a parent myself, if I'm looking at a class, especially a flex class, if I notice that the teacher uses Nearpod, I'm more likely to book it because I know that my kids really love it. My son is a huge fan of Nearpod. He finds them way more interactive than a PowerPoint presentation. So we will sign up for classes without them, and I do offer classes, that don't use Nearpod. But it is kind of a plus when we see Nearpod being offered for part of the class as well. So don't underestimate that and make sure to put those in your description. So now I'm going to look at some of my classes here and show you some of the new updates since the time that I made that other video. And I'm going to demonstrate by showing you some of my lessons. So the first one I wanted to go over was a new feature called video activities. I really love this feature. It's not only a great way to break up a long video, but also to check and make sure my students are all done with the video. So what happens is when we embed a video into the Nearpod lesson, what it does is it'll ask you during the presentation, do you want everyone to play it on their own device or do you want to play it on your device? Now, when we're teaching on Zoom, we want to choose the option for playing on their own device. And that's because we are not screen sharing the video. So if we're not actually screen sharing the video, then you want to make sure to click on play on all devices. And everybody mutes themselves, or I mute the entire classroom. We watch the video, and then usually what I would do in the past was just have my students give me like a thumbs up, either in the video camera or by using the reactions in Zoom. And that way we know that we're all done. And that is the clue that we can all unmute ourselves. So we know that if everybody is watching the video on their own, we're going to get the feedback from all of these other videos being played simultaneously. So what we normally do is we mute ourselves, and then again, we thumbs up when we're done. But the issue with that is that for those students who are having a little bit of a harder time toggling between those two browsers, that is an extra step that confuses them or might take up class time and might be a little bit distracting. So what I find great about this feature, not only do you get to put in a break, for example, this video is 3 minutes and 39 seconds. So that's a little bit longer than what I usually allow in my classes, or usually what I use in my classes. I usually try to pick videos that are shorter, like 1 or 2 minutes, just because it feels like a really long time when we're just sitting there watching a video. But in this situation here, what we have is the ability to break up the video. So here at 1 minute and 28 seconds, the system will automatically pause the video for the student, and it will ask them the question. So if we were to play this video, I'm going to mute this here, and I'm like right over here, let's say, and we're playing the video here. We're watching the video. Everybody's watching it on their own time. But all of them, when they get to this marker here at 1 minute and 28 seconds, it's going to pop up with the question. So we see that it automatically paused the video, and it's going to pop up with the multiple choice question that I have set. Now, at the very end of the video, I find it's really helpful to, instead of using the thumbs up, I set an open-ended question. You can see it right here. Type done below when you have finished watching the video, and that's going to let us know, once we're all done, that's going to let me know that we can unmute our microphones. So as soon as I see everybody typing out their response, done, 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 okay, then I unmute myself. All right, everyone, looks like we're all done. Great job, whatever. You can also use that to review the video. So, some of my other videos, I like to do that instead, where I say, what was the reason that blah, 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 A, B, or C, and then they can choose that multiple choice question. And as soon as I see that everyone has answered the question, then I know that everyone has reached the end of the video. So that's one feature that I really love to use, especially now. Of course, I really love the activities like memory test. That one's always been there since I started on Nearpod. Memory test is a great time killer, especially as the students are logging in. So when the students, some of them are really fast, right? They've used Nearpod before. They know how to type in the code. They've got the app downloaded on their tablet over here or something like that, right? Whereas others might be newer to it. Maybe they have internet issues, or maybe there's parental blocks on their computer and they have to get permission. That happens. And so sometimes it takes a little longer for them to log in. So while we're waiting for them to log in, I like to set up my memory test, and then they can play that game while they're waiting. Another option that I have recently started to use is the drag and drop. And this one, let's see, I'm going to open up my other Shakespeare class on A Midsummer Night's Dream. This was one of my first Nearpod lessons. I've updated it a couple times since I started teaching. But we have the drag and drop option here. Now, this one that I have is one that I've customized for my class, but you can use, if you're allowed to use, maybe make sure that you have permission depending on how you're going to use it. There are some preloaded ones, or if you just want to use the preloaded ones to see how it works, you're probably not going to actually use these for your class, but just to kind of test it out, they're right there to the side. But I'm going to move these over. The instructions, you can edit this yourself, and then the students can push the little arrow to make it disappear. Now, I've set this image as my background. You get to set your own image if you want to. You can see there's like one big image if you want, or you can set it into columns, which is pretty cool too. And this feature is basically kind of like a little fill in the blanks type of game. That one is where you drag and drop, the words of the sentence and fill in the blanks. But this one, I just have it for fun, where you can drag the little fairy in. I think I have to go into preview mode for this to work. So let me go ahead and get out of here. But the students will be able to drag the little images over. So for this one here, if I click preview, then I'm going to see the students view. So you can kind of test it, see if this is working okay for you. You don't actually have to set a background if you don't want to. But anyways, you just drag these over to wherever you want them on the page. So, it's just kind of a fun activity. Some of the kids like to do it. When they're done, they click submit, and then we can all see it if you want them to. It's kind of a fun activity. The other activities that we have, if we click on here too, we have a lot of the same ones that we had before, but some of them had some recent, updates to make them more compatible or easier. And Time to Climb also frequently changes the backgrounds to be themed. So around this time, the later part of the year in October, they have like a Halloween theme. Around February, they have like a Valentine's Day theme. I believe they kind of filter through the holidays like that. And then the content tab, we've got our regular slides, but some of them have been updated. So this is the classic version, oops. And then there's also the updated version. So you can check that out. It has more layout options, which is awesome, because before we were kind of limited in how the layout worked. So if you want to play around with those, check those out. Maybe update your slides if it's been a while. Like me, I had this slide for a long time, a couple years at least, and so I go in there and look at some of the other options that I have. So that is just a little bit on how I like to use Nearpod for my classes. These are my live versions, the ones that I use for my live classes. But then I have a separate folder for my flex classes. And that's really helpful because I have accidentally, before I organized my classes, I had them all on one page, which was on my lessons page. But then one time I accidentally opened my flex lesson for the same theme. So I have like a live version of my art history class and I have the flex version. I accidentally opened the flex one. It wasn't a big deal. But then after that, I realized, oh, I should probably make a folder for that. So organize, as you need to. You can make some folders for that. But yeah, that's a little bit of that. I have a class designed for little ones, and for the younger ones, these are a little bit trickier. In a live class, it's hard for the 5- and 6-year-olds to click on things, right? So what I do is I design this as a flex class, and I created the Nearpod lessons for the flex class specifically. So when we look at, for example, I'm going to open this one here. When you look at the slides, I have recorded myself reading out loud the slides. For example, with this one here, we've got a lot of text on this page, and the name is a little bit tricky. It's a Japanese name, and so that speak to text does not get his name correct. And so I recorded myself reading the page with like an extra little comment or two about the slides. So that way for my little ones, they're able to click through the lesson, and not have to worry about reading the lesson. This is the flex version. Now I actually do use this same lesson for my live class, but in the live class, I screen share it. So normally I don't normally screen share my lessons in the live class. And that's because if you do that, they're not able to play the games, right? They can't actually click on the screen. But in my live class, that's okay. I'm actually not asking them to play the game. So what I'll do is when I am going through the lesson, I'm gonna go ahead and close this really quick and do our presentation. I will skip the ones with the activities, or I will do the activities and just manually ask them. With our matching pairs, I say, which one is this one? And then they're just watching me do it. So it really depends. You can use Nearpod in many different ways, and it's completely up to you. If you find it helpful to do it one way or the other, that's fine. All right, I'm going to stop share this one here, and that's basically it. There's a lot of features that constantly get updated on Nearpod. I do find it worthwhile to go ahead and pay for the gold subscription, especially if you're using it for flex classes. You get the reports. Occasionally, I'll have parents ask for the report, how to, maybe like a grade, and that way they can enter it into their homeschooling journals or submit it to their school for credit. So what's great about Nearpod is that it makes that step really easy. All I do is just download the PDF and then send it to them, and there they go. They can see the 100% participation. They can see the results that they got on the quizzes. All of that is there. So there's a lot of things that we can do with Nearpod, and it's really exciting to see all of these new updates. Well, I hope that was helpful to you. If you're thinking about using Nearpod, don't worry, it is not complicated at all. It's very user-friendly, and I do find it to be a huge plus in my developing curriculum on Outschool. Okay, well, thank you all for watching. I hope that was helpful. Again, let me know if there's any questions you have. You're always welcome to post them below in the comments. And if you would like to check out the older videos, I'll have the links down there as well. All right, have a great day and happy teaching. Bye.